Now that we know how to set up a project, let's talk about routing. Routing is the process that takes the URL that's typed on the browser address bar and translates it into an internal address that is used internally in PAL. The internal address consists of a module and some kind of resource like an action, component, or view, or even a class. I'll explain all that. So let's look at config.php. Config.php is a bunch of configuration files. Sorry, it has just a bunch of configuration settings. Here are the routing rules, and this is what I'd like to talk about. The most recently added rule is evaluated first. So this rule is checked, then this rule, then this rule, then that rule. So this is the name of the rule. You can name it whatever you like. This rule says, if someone enters an action by itself, then set the module equal to main and set the action equal to whatever they entered. For example, here, I entered welcome, and it would go to the action, main, welcome.php. And that's what it loads. Now, if that rule didn't work, then it tries this rule, which I called root. Basically, if I don't enter anything after Lucky Apps, then the module will be main, the action will be welcome. And I'll explain this in a second. See, it goes to the same module. Well, you can't really see that, but just trust me on that. So what is this? Well, you can set arbitrary variables inside these routing rules, and they will be available to the action. So for example, this routing rule sets the variable called root to 1. It's useful for the action to know, for example, what routing rule was used to access this action. So if I do echo root, then I should be echoing 1 because I used that routing rule. See? But if I had used the other routing rule, it doesn't echo anything. Similarly, here are some other routing rules. Module/action basically says if the user enters something that looks like a module/action, like this, then let this be the module and this be the action. And here's a trailing slash. If I didn't have this rule, trailing slashes would cause error 404. Couldn't find whatever you're looking for. And so, see, this works and doesn't echo the 1. This works too, does the same thing. However, this would give me a 404. Now, what if I entered the right module but the wrong action, such as this? Then it gives me a 404. First, it looks inside the module that it found, and that's where it finds the 404. Right here. It executes this and gives me these results. Now, if this 404 wasn't here, and let's say it was called 404A, then it would give me the common 404. That's located in the common folder. The common folder corresponds to the module which has no name. It has an empty string as a name. Basically, to access components of this module, you would write slash and then the name of the component. I'll explain that in a second. So we've got this common 404. By the way, every time you change file names like this, you should clear the cache. In this case, it was a silly change, which I'm going to revert. But the cache is so PAL basically looks through all your files, remembers where they are, and puts it in the cache. That's why it's faster the next time around. See, when there's no cache, it takes 15 milliseconds. When there is a cache, it takes 2, or even 1 sometimes. Anyway, So that's how routing works. If you'd like to know more about routing, go to the manual.